Good afternoon, folks. In today's Lions news, we have a lot to cover, and this video is sponsored by Prize Picks. Amon-Ra St. Brown, he speaks to the media, and he has a lot of compliments to say about Lions fans, as well as the motivation going into 2026. As you know, Myles Garrett got traded right to the Rams. We're going to break it down of why the Lions didn't make this trade completely. I think that's really important, how it affects the Lions, but why we didn't make the move to make the trade. PFF ranks 2 Lions players a catch of the last decade, and we'll get into that one, and 5 players to watch in OTAs for the Detroit Lions session coming up here starting tomorrow. My name is Mike Kimber with Lions Talk by Chat Sports, and I make Lions videos on a daily. If that is something that interests you, I would ask that you subscribe to the channel. Without further ado, let's get into today's Lions news. Let's go ahead and start it off with fan favorite Amon-Ra St. Brown. Now, he spoke on his podcast. He's always speaking. He's got great words to say because the guy is awesome. He spoke about Lions fans, and he was very complimentary of how we are loud at Ford Field, the motivation that we bring and help the team out. We love hearing it, but he also spoke about last year's not making the playoffs and motivation. He said, last year is behind us now, St. Brown said. And I think we're all happy for that because last year was not the year that any of us wanted and expected. Going into this year, we're doing everything we can to get back to what we were. And I think everyone is just excited and motivated. You can become numb to losing as you can keep winning, St. Brown said. I feel like we won so many games these past 3 years that you feel like you can just keep getting by with what we were doing, and the target only gets bigger on your back as you keep winning, said. Teams know you're a good team. They want to beat you. They want to come to Ford Field and beat you, and that's not changing. Teams still know who we are and what we can do. And for us, we're motivated. We know we got to do to get back, and I think we got the right guys to do it. And I 100% concur with St. Brown. They'll get back to the old roots, what made them really good last couple of years. We have the great leadership all over this team, top to bottom, from general manager, head coach, to players. I'm sure even the medical. Everybody right now is on the same page, motivated to get to winning. And this is why we select certain players in the draft, because we want the same mentality. So I believe they will. They'll fight pretty damn hard. We'll get back to our winning ways. How many touchdowns do you believe that Amon-Ra St. Brown will have in 2026? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let's go ahead and talk about Myles Garrett being traded to the LA Rams, and how does it affect the Detroit Lions? How does it affect it? Well, Richard Knight from Yahoo, and I agree here. It doesn't affect the Lions directly because we don't face them. However, it makes the NFC tougher. Look, the Lions already have their hands full with the loaded conference, and now perennial Super Bowl contenders just added a league's most dominant pass rusher. Garrett's arrival to LA immediately elevates the Rams' championship hopes, and it could have a direct impact on Detroit's path through the NFC playoff race. Ironically, Lions fans spent months debating whether Brad Holmes should make a run at Garrett when trade rumors first surfaced. Instead, the all-pro edge rusher is heading to the NFC contender. And yes, could he got traded to the Lions? It's possible. I did not expect it at all. Didn't expect it at all. All I was hoping for, if he were to get traded, because we didn't know, right? If he were to get traded, I just wanted him to go to not the Rams, Bears, or Eagles. Unfortunately, he went to the Rams. And it does make it harder for the Lions to make a trip to the Super Bowl. No, we don't face the Rams this year. But the Rams host the Super Bowl. LA does. What do you think they're trying to do? They want home field advantage throughout the playoffs and in the Super Bowl. And Myles Garrett is on a different level of pass rusher. He just is. And he does make them the NFC's favorite, in my opinion. If the Lions do make the playoffs, which I do expect, I'm kind of thinking that the Rams will have the #1 seed. They'll be high seeded, that is for sure. And if that's the case, if the Lions do make the playoffs, odds are we'd have to make a trip to LA. That's what makes it hard for us. That's why I feel like my soul left me a little bit when I heard about the trade. Now, I'm going to break down in a minute why the Lions didn't make the trade. I'm going to break that down. Before we do that, I got to pay some bills. The show is sponsored by my favorite, that's Prize Picks. Folks, the NBA is nearly done for the season. Baseball's underway, and the NFL is right around the corner, and so it is time to cash in with Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 sports pick app and is the best place to win cash while watching sports. The app is really easy to use. Just pick more or less on a few player stats and lock in your lineup. For example, this is what I got going on for this year. I 100% believe that Jahmyr Gibbs is going to get more than 1,224.5 rushing yards. I 100% believe Aidan Hutchinson is going to get more than 12.25 sacks. And I believe Caleb Downs will get more than 1.5 interceptions. With the new social feeds feature, you can share Prize Picks with your friends, copy the lineup with a single click. That includes myself, Mike85, and the rest of the folks at Chad Sports. You can follow us on Prize Picks, tailor picks, or fade, and get the picks before they even get posted on the show. New user offer. Download the Prize Picks app today with the link in the comments and in the description. Use code HMADE. Get $50 in your lineup after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code HMADE. Get $50 in your lineup after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Are you angry that the Lions didn't make the trade? Be honest in the comments. Let me know your thoughts below. Now, let's go ahead and get into the reason why the Detroit Lions did not make this trade. There is multiple reasons. Let's go ahead and break everything down really quick. First off, the price was going to be way too massive for the Lions. As you know, we had to pay Penei Sewell, Jared Goff, St. Brown, Jameson Williams. We had to pay Jack Campbell. We're going to pay Jahmyr Gibbs, Brian Branch, Sam Laporta. With all those contracts coming up, it makes it quite difficult. The Rams are not going to be paying their high-end players in a couple years, one being Puka Nacua. That's what it seems like, right? So the Lions are in a different mode. The Lions were never going to trade Aidan Hutchinson. He wasn't going to be trading Hutchinson. Why? Well, here's the fact. I don't think that the Browns would have accepted an offer anyways. If you look at who they picked up in Jared Verse, it's on a rookie deal, super cheap. They need to save money because they have a lot of contractual issues because of their quarterback room. So I don't think they would have made the trade just from a financial standpoint. Now they lose a contract. I know it's not big this year with Myles Garrett, but eventually it would be, right? The financial matters to this organization significantly. That's the reason why, right? Brad Holmes has the ability, and what he likes to do is draft and bring in. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but that's why we have to do it. And Detroit already has a star pass rusher. And how many times did you hear Brad Holmes say they were not going to have 2-star pass rushers? He literally said that, I don't know how many times, many, many times. That's why we didn't make this trade. Right or wrong, that is the reason we did not make this trade. Again, right or wrong. I didn't believe the Lions were going to make the trade. Would I, as a Lions fan, love it? Yes. Did I hope for it? Yes. I want a Super Bowl, right? And I feel like he could bring us the Super Bowl. But if the Lions were to make that trade, what would they have to give up? You would assume it would be a high-end player on a low-end deal, right? Maybe not a Brian Branch. He's injured. I don't know if they would have gone even Terrion Arnold. He's not good enough. Derek Moore, maybe? But if they were to do that, they would have done the trade, at least have the parameters in place beforehand. So I don't know if we have the player to do that on a deal. And Lee McNeil, he's on a big deal, but at the end of the day, he got injured. So I don't know if they would have accepted that deal. The draft pick's perfectly fine to give up for Myles Garrett. Does it suck to lose first-round picks? Yeah, it would, but you know it would be a high-end first-round pick anyways if you're to bring in Garrett. So I don't know if the Lions really could beat out the Rams for the trade because they had Jared Verse, a young pass rusher. They have the capital for multiple years, and they were willing not to pay their players, and that just didn't seem like that's what the Lions would do at all. So that's why I didn't expect the Lions to make the trade. I'm not too upset or anything about it. I don't think even the Lions got to go out there and force a trade. Like, we don't need to get a Max Crosby or anything like that. I don't believe that's the case. They're going to stick with their ways. If they do a trade, it could be a small-end trade. But I think they're with the players that they're going to have on game day that generally going to see DJ Wanham, Derek Moore, right? Those are the guys that we're going to see. So I'm not upset. I'm indifferent. I think for me, I just didn't want him to go to those teams because it makes it harder for the Lions to win a Super Bowl. I'm not caring about regular season games so much. I'm caring more about the playoffs. Now, if he would have went to the Bears, that would have been a disaster. That would have been horrible, right? That would have been the worst case scenario. But him going to the Rams, it does hurt the Lions' chances to win playoff games if you potentially got to face them and to win a Super Bowl. That is the truth. It makes it harder. So are you angry that the Lions did not make the trade? Be honest in the comments right now. PFF talks about two players. Crazy. All decade underrated players. And you have two of them from the Detroit Lions doing this. One being St. Brown. Says, since St. Brown was a 4th-round pick by the Lions 5 years ago, all he has done is hit the ground running throughout his career. St. Brown trails only Nakua in PFF receiving grade 93.5, and his 358 first downs lead the league. And it's no surprise that the USC alum is also second in getting that yards after catch, right? St. Brown is incredibly one of the faces by the Lions' dramatic turnaround over the last half-decade. 3-time All-Pro. Looks like he has no intention slowing, giving the tear he's on, continuing to repeatedly make teams regret passing on him. I agree 1,000%. He is one of those guys, underrated. They have DJ Reed as being another one as well. It says, although Reed wasn't taken until 142nd pick in 2018, he grades as the 10th best cornerback since 2019 among qualifiers. Reed's size 5'9" team consistently draft pick working against him, but he didn't prevent him from notching at least 70-point PFF coverage grade 6 straight seasons from 19 to 24. Reed will look to bounce back the second year at the Lions after producing a career-low 65.2 overall mark and only 583 snaps, yet Reed has gone from 5th-round pick to reliable playmaking cornerback responsible for $52 million career earnings thus far, which is way more projected for his slot. I think I would have gone on other players instead of him. Hell, I would have gone multiple different players. DJ Reed last year didn't look good, but I'll take it for the Lions. If you're to look at other Lions underrated players that you could see on this roster, it turned out to be pretty darn good. I mean, you can look at, doesn't even have to be lit like Kirby Joseph, right? I know he's injured right now. A mid-round pick, 4th-round pick. He ended up being really damn good. Right? There's a couple of those players there. Hopefully Reed will bounce back and live up to it. We shall see. I want to talk about some players to watch in OTAs that we got coming up starting tomorrow. I think it's important to get some of these players out there, at least from my perspective. What players should you as a Lions fan be paying attention to tomorrow? Well, here is my list. This is my list right now. I got Ennis Rakestraw. He has been on my list for a while. We just want him to stay on the field and stay healthy and get consistent. He's a wild card. If he can do that, that helps the Lions out immensely in 2026. Imagine if Rakestraw can stay healthy and live up to his potential. That just makes the depth in the secondary amazing. If not, if he gets injured, probably get cut. Miles Frazier, that battle, right, for that guard position. I know Mahogany's in there, but watch Miles Frazier. Who knows? Where also plays on the offensive line. He can play everywhere. Blake Miller, I'm definitely looking at our right tackle. I want to see him out there looking massive, looking good, protecting our quarterback. Derek Moore, we need pass rush opposite of Hutch. How is he looking? How is he looking out there? And, of course, DJ Reed, guy who was injured last year in the cornerback position. We just spoke about him. Would love to see him get back to form before he got injured. If these injured players in the secondary, like Rakestraw, like Reed, if they can come in and produce, that would be gigantic. It would be gigantic for the Lions. We're not counting on him. I'm not counting on Rakestraw. But what if he does? What if he does? That's great. That's great. DJ Reed, I'm down on him. What if he gets back to his level pre-injury? That's great. That's wonderful. That's what we want to see from this team. Want to see him grow. Want to see him get better. We didn't bring these guys to Detroit to let them loose after a couple years. No, we want them to play to the standard we expect them to play to and elevate our defense because that's what we need. So give me your thoughts in the comments below. Adios.